Am I the a-hole for demanding my fiancé pay me back for selling my train collection? I, 28 female, lived with my aunt and uncle as my parents could not raise me. My uncle started collecting trains as a hobby when he was working as an engineer. I took a huge interest in them as a child and teenager. My uncle gave me his entire train collection when he became sick. When I turned 19, I moved out and found a nice apartment near my college, and I brought the collection with me. Some of my friends thought it was cool, others find it weird. I met my boyfriend at college, and he moved in with me after we graduated. We got engaged last year and are currently struggling with debt, student loans, and a wedding. My fiancé asked if we could have an expert come into the apartment and price the train collection. I was against the idea and told him that I would not sell the collection as it was a large memory of my uncle. My best friend got engaged this past weekend, and a few of us went to celebrate at our parents' lake house. I was gone for 2 nights, and when I returned, the train collection was completely gone. My fiancé came running over saying that a collector came and gave him a decent price for the set. I started crying and yelling at him that he destroyed my trust and told him to leave the apartment. He left without protest and has been staying with his parents. I told him that he had to pay me back all the money and had threatened to sue him as well. His parents are trying to argue that he was only doing what was best for the both of us. Am I the a-hole for demanding my fiancé pay me back for selling my train collection? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé stole and sold a train collection without your consent. Please go back to that collector and explain the situation. File a police report and sue your fiancé for grand theft. And OP, please break up with him because he completely betrayed your trust. You cannot get married to someone who has no respect for you. What an awful man. File a police report. Your ex committed a crime, and depending on the value, a very serious crime. Provide a police report to the collector so they clearly understand they purchased stolen goods. Also, that collector could be shady too. He purchased it likely knowing your ex didn't really own it. Yes, it's a stretch to assume the collector knew the ex didn't have permission to sell them. I made that assumption thinking that the ex didn't know anything about the trains and possibly stated they were his girlfriend's trains. Not the a-hole, but you can report that collection as stolen, so you could potentially get it all back. The sale of stolen goods is not legal. I would act fast though, checking with police, because depending on that collector who bought it, they might be selling off some of the pieces and then it might be impossible to get them all back. And I'm giving you the money got from selling your stuff isn't even an apology. I wouldn't act like it was. The money is yours, completely yours, and probably is worth way less than the actual collection. Do not touch that money though. Report the whole thing as stolen. If you get the money, it could be argued you knew and benefited from the sale. And this is a pretty good insight for how he will act during your marriage. Going behind your back to make what should be joint decisions after you already said no. Keeping that money as his own. Saying that he knows best to do what's good for both of you without taking your opinion into account. Yes, OP, please don't take the money and file a police report. Not the a-hole. Demand to give you the name of the collector so you can contact them and let them know the collection was stolen and they need to return it. Let them know they will get their money back. Tell him if he doesn't give them money and contact information for the collector, you will involve the police. Do the same if the collector refuses to return them. Tell them they are in possession of stolen property, and you will involve the police if necessary. This is not a man you want to marry, as painful as it is. He violated your trust, stole from you, and took away a family heirloom. He has no respect for you or your feelings. You need to end a relationship before he does something worse. No threats. Just involve the police. Your boyfriend stole and sold stolen goods. Go get your stuff back and put him in jail. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for causing a scene at my sister's wedding after I found out she tricked me into showing up without my boyfriend? Hi, I, female 30, have been with my boyfriend Ryan for over 5 years. I haven't told anyone yet, but I'm pregnant. It wasn't planned, but we decided to keep it. My family and Ryan have a good relationship, although they tend to have disagreements once in a while. My older sister's wedding was a week ago. When I received my invitation, I read that +1 aren't allowed. It's either engaged or married partners. I didn't know what to feel about this, and I tried contacting my sister about this rule and see if she could make Ryan an exception. But she told me it's a rule that everyone had to follow, and said she could talk to Ryan. Ryan said I should not miss my sister's wedding because of him and urged me to go. I felt guilty, but decided to go anyway. When I showed up, I noticed guests had brought +1s. I'm talking about family members that are neither engaged nor married. My 3 female cousins brought their jokester boyfriends, and even my aunt brought a friend from work. I was confused and angry. I walked up to my sister and loudly demanded that she explain why I wasn't allowed to bring my boyfriend while everyone else was. She and her husband tried to get me to quiet down, but it was too late because there were people standing watching us argue. My sister said I was disrupting the wedding over nothing, and that I shouldn't make a big deal over it. But it was a big deal for me because Ryan was excluded like he was a stranger, while my cousin's boyfriends weren't. Mom and Aunt tried getting me to sit down, but I told my sister that Ryan is and will always be family, and she not only disrespected him by excluding him, but disrespected me too and our relationship as well. Not only that, but I told her he's the father of my child, which had a family instantly guessed that I was pregnant. I left after the argument, and my family berated me later about making a scene at my sister's wedding and ruining everything she worked for. They also said that it was low of me to indirectly announce my pregnancy like that and try to add insult to injury. My sister and her husband are expecting an apology now, but in response, I demanded an apology for Ryan before we even talk. Ryan is hurt, but says I should have just stayed quiet or left. He said he doesn't want to be the reason my relationship with my sister gets ruined as well as my family, but my family think I'm the one who messed up. Am I the a-hole? Info. Please expand on these disagreements between your partner and your family. It feels like you're purposely leaving out or downplaying important parts of the story. That could potentially explain exactly why your sister didn't want him at her wedding, and why every single family member involved in planning the wedding played along with her lie about no +1s. When you leave out context, you automatically look like the one in the wrong. The fact that Ryan handled this exclusion with maturity and encouraged Opie to go without him indicates he's likely okay. Sister is the a-hole. She got exactly what she deserved. Like I said, they have a number of disagreements. My family always make comments about his occupation, which is in law enforcement. He's a cop. Ryan always takes those comments as a joke and tries to ignore them. But my sister is mainly the one with heavy dislike towards him. Why are you avoiding saying what the full issues between them are? Do you feel like some of your family's concerns about your partner might be valid? Why are you trying to retrofit the situation to your biases? You've got the information you asked for and still want to push for more dirt. She was tricked. He supported her and attempted to de-escalate tensions in the past. Not stay hall on this and even the pregnancy announcement in the heat of the moment. Not stay home. This is the only time I will say that announcing a pregnancy at someone else's event is okay. She lied. She got caught. To hell with decorum. Sometimes you need to slap back. Yep, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Totally unrelated to this thread, but just wanted to say I really needed to hear this today. Thank you, internet stranger. What your sister did was cruel. It was a giant middle finger to you and Ryan. If her wedding was ruined, it was because of her own petty behavior. She and other family members who are angry at you are putting appearances before family. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go to my brother's wedding because of what the bride did to me? I've always been close to all 3 of my siblings. My oldest brother, Colin, pretty much raised us due to serious neglect and parentification. I realize what a sacrifice that is, and that he should not have been doing all he did. We are all no contact with our mother. Colin is engaged to Darcy. Our mom briefly dated Darcy's dad. Very briefly. We were never anything close to step-siblings, and Colin was living at college at the time. Darcy was the most popular girl at school, and she could be really mean. I know her family was crazy toxic, and she was lashing out, but still no excuses to bully. Darcy didn't like that her dad was dating a woman with kids. Darcy and I got into a verbal argument once because we were home alone at her dad's house, and she announced my family's trashy, social climbers, and my mom's cheap. We got into it and said some mean stuff. Apparently, it hurt Darcy's feelings, so her and her friends set up a prank at school and had a popular boy I liked ask me to prom, and a few days before told me it was a joke. Colin was pissed, but a few hours away at college. My other brother did try to avenge me, which led to our mom and her dad breaking up. But Darcy's dad already had his next girlfriend lined up, so that was inevitable. Colin and Darcy reconnected years later and have been together for 3 years, and the wedding is in May. I know it might sound petty, but I was a shy, insecure girl, and what she did gutted me. Darcy has apologized. Colin thinks I should forgive her because she was a kid, and she was acting how her dysfunctional parents taught her to act and has since grown up. I told him I was sorry, but I just couldn't go. To be honest, it brings up a lot of my insecurities, and I don't want to see her get this huge princessy wedding with everyone fawning over her. My sister thinks I should let it go. My other brother loves Darcy and treats her like a sister. Darcy recently sent me a text about she's sorry, but I'm being awful to Colin, and how he had no childhood because he was trying to protect me from our insane mother, and how we shouldn't have been walking to the store at 12 to make sure I could eat. And after all of that, I owe him this. I've yet to reply, and I keep going back and forth about if I'm being an a-hole or not. Now for the comments. Not an a-hole. The fact that Darcy sent you this text to guilt you shows she's still a cold bully. You do not need to go if you think it will traumatize you further. This, the only and only sign that people are sorry and wants forgiveness, is if they are willing to take on the responsibility/consequence of their actions. She just wants absolution, which means just wants to sweep everything under the rug. Right? Like, or all you are the a-hole ignoring the guilt-tripping text. She really hasn't matured that much if she's trying to manipulate you to go to the wedding. Does your brother know that she sent that text? Not stay home. Whether you go to the wedding and whether you decide to forgive her are both totally up to you, and any decision you make would be perfectly valid. But you might want to consider how much you're willing to let her past actions impede having a close relationship with your brother, now and in the future. This. I get your reasons for avoiding Darcy, but be cautioned that you may lose your brother in the process, since she seems pretty collected at painting you as a villain in the story. Also, attending the wedding and forgiving her are two totally different things. Just because you attend a wedding for your brother's sake doesn't mean you are welcoming her with open arms into the family. They've been together for 3 years. Why haven't you already hammered out these issues before now? Before a wedding was even in the picture? Are you not that close with your brother anymore? I understand that. With world events, lots of people aren't as close as they used to be, or as close as they would have been. But 3 years ago, did you not pull him to the side and go, "Bro, your new girlfriend did this horrible thing to me, and I don't think I can get past it even for your sake"? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my mom out of my wedding because she predicted our divorce? My mom and I used to have a good relationship, but she doesn't really mesh with my new wife, so she pulled away a lot. I did stand up for my wife when there was an issue, not too often, but my mom seems okay with the distance, and says she just feels weird around us and it's probably best not to push it. This seems like a weird thing for a mother to say, but she's always been kind of emotionally immature. My mom was of course invited to my wedding. She had no part in the planning or anything because their taste could not be more polar opposite, and I really hadn't seen her in a while due to being busy. She was nice and polite and everything went smooth. But someone overheard my mom's husband make a joke that he gives us 2 years, and my mom responded that she felt we would divorce or that our relationship would just suck, because we fed each other cake with forks. My mom admitted it was just her pet peeve, which is why I might be overreacting. But she said she hates when couples do that, and it seemed so cold and robotic. I did confront my mom, and she laughed and asked if we had people spying on her. I said a friend of my wife's overheard and let me know so I could handle it. It asked why she would joke like that. My mom said she was just talking to a few people, and it might be irrational, but everyone has those little rational things, and she thinks feeding with a fork just looks so bad and cold. I told her she needed to leave, because she disrespected the wedding. She said okay and left without an issue, but I did try to communicate a week later and she only gives one-word answers. And other family members have said I'm an a-hole. Is there another way to eat cake that I'm not aware of? I think a lot of couples do it with their hands when they feed it to their new spouse. The mother thought the fork was less personal contact. Sometimes they shove it right into the spouse's face, usually with great general hilarity from the drunks at the reception. I find that in bad taste, so be your bad self and use a fork. What the heck? Why is that friend trying to stir the pot? And why are you letting her? It wasn't quite poor taste for your mother to make that comment. It was in poor taste for that friend to approach the groom and bride during the wedding and try to start drama. The friend should have shut up until after the wedding, and preferably after the honeymoon. This conversation should not have taken place during the wedding, considering it was a single comment and it wasn't being disruptive, even if it was disrespectful on her and her husband's part. She sucks, her husband sucks. The friend does not have the ability to evaluate the situation and know that certain things are better off mentioned at a later date. How does the groom suck for not wanting people shutting on his relation on his wedding day? If anyone in my wedding was speaking loud enough that other people could hear about my future divorce on my wedding day, I'd want them to leave too. It's rude and straight up disrespectful. Not stay home. It's an incredibly poor taste to talk about a couple's relationship failing at their wedding to other guests. She's entitled to her opinion and private conversation with her husband, but talking to a few people at your wedding? That is beyond rude. Not stay home. She expressed her hope your relationship would have an unpleasant end at your own wedding. She played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. She's just upset she got caught, so she's hiding under a joke.